Tim Cook pledging $1 billion fund that he's going to create to advance manufacturing jobs right here in the U.S. Joining us now is Mark Hibben, author of Seeking Alpha, to tell us a little bit more. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. And obviously, this exclusive news came from Jim Cramer's interview with Tim Cook. How soon do you think they actually are going to start developing these manufacturing jobs?
Well, Tim Cook didn't exactly say that he was going to start developing manufacturing jobs. Well, what he announced was a fund, $1 billion fund, to develop manufacturing processes, advanced manufacturing processes that could then be used presumably for future Apple products. It's not absolutely clear that those manufacturing jobs that would be created in the future would be located in the United States. But he is going to, I think he did indicate that he's already funding the first developer, the first manufacturing developer. So this is really an R&D fund. It's not specifically a manufacturing fund per se.
Mark, do you think this is a move by Tim Cook to bring more of these operations in-house versus relying on suppliers and other third parties to get things done here with the iPhone and some of the other products that we've seen recently in terms of Apple scrapping its relationship with some of these suppliers?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of hope that will happen, or at least there's a lot of discussion about it. I think it's difficult to make that work economically for Apple, and there's still a tremendous cost advantage to manufacturing overseas, and I think that's why this fund is really about developing manufacturing processes and doing research. That's the kind of thing that Apple has always been doing in the U.S. I mean, most of their R&D is located here in the United States. An awful lot of their jobs and job creation is around R&D. And those are very high-quality jobs. Those are high-paying jobs. And Apple is indicating, as they're showing, that they're going to keep trying to develop those jobs. Well, and I think that's a good thing.
Mark, let me just jump in here. Is it actual jobs, or I wonder if this is kind of a roundabout way for Apple to say, look, we're pledging this commitment to some sort of investment here in the United States, but it might be a case where it sees that it can use AI or any type of robotics to maybe enhance the manufacturing. I wonder to what extent all of this is going to go toward human jobs.
That's a good question, and I think that it probably will. The question is where the jobs are going to be located when they actually start manufacturing. And I think that remains to be seen. Right now, though, it's still a good thing that they're doing this research and development in the U.S. They're essentially funding other companies to develop manufacturing processes, and that is going to create jobs, and those have to be human jobs, because we don't have artificial intelligence that can do research yet. Not meaningful research. There's like big data stuff that they can do, but I think our basic research and development is all human oriented.
Mark, let's talk a little bit about smart watches. We know that Apple regaining the top spot in that space after a 2-year absence. Fitbit was really the major player, but Fitbit devices, the shipments falling by 35% year over year. Is it so much that Apple's regained the spot, or really the overall demand for smartwatches has fallen? And since Apple already has so many other products, so many people already in the Apple ecosphere, that it's able to now get back to this top position?
Well, yeah, there's kind of this sort of mixed message that we're getting from the research companies, because sometimes they state their research in terms of the overall wearables market, and sometimes they state it in terms of smartwatches. And I think Apple did move out in front in terms of the overall wearables market, because they had a very good quarter. According to Tim Cook, they almost doubled their sales of Apple Watch. I saw an estimate this morning that they had sold 3.5 million Apple Watches in the March quarter. That was Strategy Analytics. and that put them on top in the wearable space. That's a great result. It's not necessarily guaranteed to continue. I don't think personally that smartwatches are on the decline. In fact, I think they're just starting to gain traction. But they need to be more useful, and the way that they're being made more useful is through cellular connectivity. When you look at some of the more advanced cellular connected watches, such as the LG Watch Sport, you can get an LTE version that works on the AT&T network, or you can get an LTE version that works on Verizon. You can make calls, you can do messaging from them. That makes them much more useful, and potentially they start to eat into the smartphone market.
And Mark, also, we see the stock, it's down fractionally today, but still near an all-time high. And of course, we'll get another earnings report before we see the newest iPhone expected to come out in September. And so the path forward for Apple, I mean, do you think that this argument that it is rising on the hype of the newest iPhone is warranted, and that we could see an even greater appreciation into that expected September launch?
Well, there has been an awful lot of discussion about iPhone 8 or iPhone X, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it started actually around this time last year, where the analyst Ming-Chi Kuo started touting the various advances that were going to be available in iPhone 8 compared to iPhone 7, where he kept saying that iPhone 7 was going to be very derivative and not very exciting. And it's just been gathering momentum since that time. I've never seen rumors about a future product start so early. And Tim Cook actually complained a little bit about that. He said that maybe the slight fall off in iPhone unit sales that they saw in the March quarter was partly due to all of the rumors surrounding iPhone 8. Frankly, I don't think that's what's really fueling the appreciation in the stock that we saw since the beginning of the year. I think it's more centered around the expectations for a significant amount of tax reform and a repatriation tax rate that Trump promised would be on the order of 10%. Mm-hmm. If that special repatriation rate comes through, that's a potential windfall for investors, and I think that's what's really been fueling the stock since the beginning of the year. It's not really so much iPhone 8. Although iPhone 8 is interesting, and it should be something that helps restore unit growth to the iPhone product line.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have to see really how that kind of all pans out, especially with the iPhone announcement expected in September. But I will say, in terms of Tim Cook and his tenure at Apple, at the helm of Apple, being more than 5 years at this point, he hasn't really launched a new product. How desperate is Apple at this point in terms of innovation, in terms of bringing a new product to market?
Well, Apple is very product dependent, and they are dependent on having hits, and that's always been a criticism of them. Tim Cook during his tenure, did launch a new product, which was Apple Watch. Now, there's still a lot of debate and disagreement about how important Apple Watch is. Some people have even claimed that it's a flop. I think it's just getting started. I think the fact that it doubled sales year over year in the March quarter is pretty significant. And I think it will become even more important as Apple starts folding in LTE connectivity, which is probably going to happen sometime in the next couple of years. I wouldn't say exactly when that's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. During the conference call, Cook even pointed out that for all practical purposes, the Apple Watch is very much like a smartphone. It's got all the basic elements of a smartphone. So we're going to see that grow, I think, very significantly in the coming years. That's his new product. Now, it's still an open bet. It hasn't been established that that's going to be the next big hit. But it's been growing pretty rapidly, and it's been doing as well or better as iPhone did in the early days of 2007, 2008.
All right, Mark. Mark, we got to let you go. I'm sorry, but this was a good segment here, all about Apple, and a lot going on this week when it comes to that stock.
Yes, it is.
Down fractionally today, but still near a record. So Mark Hibben at Seeking Alpha, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thanks for watching Cheddar on YouTube. For more clips of CEO and startup interviews, click one of the videos right here or subscribe to us to get our live alerts right here